Mastering the art of learning. How to harness the ideal apprenticeship. What if the secret to mastery isn't raw talent or genius, but the courage to face and embrace the realities most people avoid? In this episode, we reveal how some of history's greatest minds used the apprenticeship as a gateway to excellence, and how you can, too. Welcome to Historic Power Plays, where we decode the timeless lessons from history's most extraordinary figures. Today, we dive into Chapter 2 of Robert Greene's Mastery, Submit to Reality, the Ideal Apprenticeship. This chapter teaches us the power of learning by doing and submitting to the often challenging realities of growth. We'll explore Charles Darwin's voyage on the HMS Beagle, Zora Neale Hurston's relentless pursuit of her craft, and Henry Ford's lessons through failure, each illustrating how embracing resistance, adapting to setbacks, and committing to the process can transform lives. Ready to unlock your potential and craft your own path to mastery? Hit like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover the ultimate blueprint for success. What is the ideal apprenticeship? Picture a sculptor standing before a block of uncarved marble. To the untrained eye, it's just a rock, but to the sculptor, it holds the potential for a masterpiece. Yet, unlocking that potential takes time, patience, and a willingness to chip away, layer by layer. This is the apprenticeship phase, raw, transformative, and essential to achieving mastery. The importance of the apprenticeship phase. The apprenticeship phase isn't just about acquiring a set of skills. It's a deliberate process of reshaping your mind, your habits, and your approach to challenges. As Robert Greene explains in Mastery, this stage of life is where you mold yourself into the master you will one day become. This phase is transformative, teaching you more than technical expertise. It instills discipline, resilience, and the ability to adapt. It's the foundation on which every great achievement is built. But this journey isn't glamorous. It's often slow and demanding, requiring humility, endurance, and an openness to failure. The 3 modes of apprenticeship. Greene breaks the apprenticeship phase into 3 distinct modes, each with its own lessons and demands. Observation, passive mode. This is where you begin. In this mode, you mute your colors, set aside your ego, and immerse yourself in studying the rules of your craft. It's not the time to innovate or make a mark. Instead, you focus on understanding how things work and why. Think of a young apprentice in a blacksmith's workshop. They don't start by forging their own creations. Instead, they observe their master, watching every movement, every decision, and every mistake. This phase builds a foundation of knowledge that will serve as a reference for years to come. Skills acquisition, practice mode. Once you've absorbed the basics, it's time to practice. This is the phase where you embrace tedium and repetition to hardwire knowledge into your brain and body. Greene likens this stage to muscle memory. The more you repeat a task, the more instinctive it becomes. It's not glamorous. It's hours spent refining the same motion, solving similar problems, and making small adjustments. But this phase is where mastery takes root. By pushing through the monotony, you build an unshakable competence that becomes second nature. Experimentation, active mode. The final phase is where you begin to assert yourself. You experiment with your own ideas, take risks, and start to leave your mark. It's a delicate balance, still respecting the rules you've learned, but also challenging them and exploring your creativity. This mode marks the transition from apprentice to independent thinker. It's where you step out of the shadow of your mentors and begin to forge your unique path. Time is the essential ingredient of mastery, and the apprenticeship phase is where you mold yourself into the master you will one day become. Robert Greene. Why the apprenticeship phase matters today. In a world obsessed with shortcuts and instant gratification, the apprenticeship phase can feel outdated, but it's more relevant than ever. This phase is a chance to slow down, embrace challenges, and build something lasting. It teaches you how to think critically, solve problems, and adapt to new environments, all essential skills in today's fast-paced world. Skipping this phase can lead to shallow expertise and a lack of resilience when things get tough. True mastery requires going through the fire, embracing the grind, and submitting to reality. Charles Darwin's journey of deep observation imagines stepping aboard a small ship at just 22 years old, uncertain about your future but consumed by curiosity. This was Charles Darwin's reality when he boarded the HMS Beagle in 1831. At the time, Darwin wasn't a renowned scientist. He was simply a young man looking to explore the natural world. His 5-year voyage across the globe, however, would transform him and the way we understand life itself. Darwin didn't set out with a grand theory or a predetermined conclusion. Instead, he spent years quietly observing, collecting specimens, and immersing himself in the ecosystems he encountered. In the Galapagos Islands, he noticed subtle differences in finches' beaks, an observation that would eventually lead to his groundbreaking theory of natural selection. But Darwin's process wasn't rushed. He embraced what Robert Greene calls the passive phase of observation. He didn't immediately try to interpret what he saw or force connections. Instead, he absorbed the world around him with incredible patience and detail. Whether it was the skeletal structure of a fossil or the behaviors of animals in different habitats, Darwin allowed the evidence to guide his conclusions over time. His success wasn't in sudden bursts of genius, but in the steady accumulation of knowledge. Darwin's dedication to deep observation transformed him into one of the most revolutionary thinkers in history. His theory of evolution, published decades later in On the Origin of Species, fundamentally changed how we view life on Earth. Darwin's journey teaches us a powerful lesson about the learning process. True mastery begins with observation. Before diving into action or rushing to produce results, take the time to truly see, listen, and understand. By absorbing information without immediate judgment, you develop a deep foundation of knowledge that leads to transformative insights. This is the ideal apprenticeship at work, spending time in the reality phase, where you let your craft and environment teach you before trying to impose your own ideas. For Darwin, it wasn't about rushing toward discoveries, but allowing his observations to naturally lead to groundbreaking conclusions. Are you truly observing your craft, or are you rushing toward results? Take a moment to reflect. How can you embrace Darwin's patience in your learning process? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Historic Power Plays for more timeless lessons in mastery. Zora Neale Hurston, Expanding Horizons. What if the key to mastering your craft lay in the ability to embrace discomfort and seek wisdom in the unfamiliar? Zora Neale Hurston, a trailblazing writer, anthropologist, and icon of the Harlem Renaissance, shows us how stepping outside your comfort zone can transform not just your craft, but your entire life. The remarkable journey of Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston's path to mastery was anything but straightforward. Born in 1891 in Eatonville, Florida, a rare all-black town during that era, Hurston grew up surrounded by stories, culture, and a community that shaped her love for storytelling. But her journey to becoming one of the most celebrated voices of the Harlem Renaissance was filled with obstacles. Hurston faced systemic racism, gender discrimination, and persistent financial challenges. Yet, she didn't let these barriers define her. Instead, she saw them as opportunities to forge a unique path. After attending Howard University and later Barnard College, where she studied anthropology under Franz Boas, Hurston began to see her craft not just as storytelling, but as a way to document and preserve the richness of African American culture. The power of diverse experiences, Hurston's genius lay in her relentless curiosity and willingness to expand her horizons. She didn't limit herself to a single craft or field. Instead, she ventured into anthropology, traveling through the South, the Caribbean, and beyond, collecting folklore, songs, and stories. While her contemporaries were writing primarily for urban audiences, Hurston immersed herself in the everyday lives of rural communities, gathering narratives that reflected the authentic experiences of Black Americans. She didn't just observe, she participated. Hurston danced, sang, and celebrated with the community she studied, building trust and gathering stories that would later form the foundation of her literary masterpieces, such as Their Eyes Were Watching God. Her ability to blend disciplines, anthropology, literature, and folklore allowed her to craft a storytelling voice that was uniquely her own. She refused to conform to societal expectations, embracing the full spectrum of human experience and using it to fuel her creativity. Lessons from Zora Neale Hurston. Hurston's journey exemplifies the second phase of apprenticeship skills, acquisition and expanding horizons. In this phase, mastery requires immersing yourself in diverse experiences, seeking out new knowledge, and breaking free from narrow perspectives. By stepping outside her comfort zone, Hurston developed a storytelling style that captured the beauty, complexity, and resilience of African American culture. She shows us that mastery isn't just about refining technical skills, it's about cultivating a broader understanding of the world and integrating that wisdom into your craft. Her story also reminds us of the value of resilience. Despite facing rejection and financial hardship, Hurston continued to write and document the stories she believed in. Her commitment to her craft and her community ultimately cemented her legacy as one of the most important figures of the Harlem Renaissance. Henry Ford, apprenticing through failure. What if every failure you've ever faced wasn't a setback, but a lesson shaping you into a master of your craft? Henry Ford, the man who revolutionized the automobile industry, is proof that failure isn't the end. It's the foundation of success. The early failures of Henry Ford, long before Henry Ford became a household name, his path to success was marked by a series of dramatic failures. In 1899, Ford co-founded the Detroit Automobile Company, his first foray into the automobile industry. Full of ambition, he set out to build cars for the masses. But things didn't go as planned. The company struggled to produce reliable vehicles at an affordable cost. Ford's lack of experience in business management, combined with an overly ambitious vision, resulted in financial losses. Within 2 years, the Detroit Automobile Company went bankrupt. For most, this would have marked the end of the road, but not for Ford. Undeterred, he used the failure as a learning opportunity. Ford realized that his company's approach was flawed. They were focused on building high-end vehicles instead of affordable, practical cars for the average person. He returned to the drawing board, determined to simplify production and make vehicles accessible to everyone. From failure to innovation, Ford's next venture, the Henry Ford Company, showed more promise, but was also plagued with challenges. Creative disagreements with his partners led to his departure after just a year. Once again, Ford found himself at a crossroads, but instead of dwelling on these setbacks, he used them as stepping stones. In 1903, Ford launched the Ford Motor Company, determined to apply the lessons he had learned from his earlier failures. His focus this time was clear: create a car that was affordable, durable, and efficient. This vision led to the development of the Model T in 1908, a vehicle that would change the course of history. The key to the Model T's success wasn't just its design, it was Ford's groundbreaking approach to manufacturing. Using the assembly line, a process he refined through trial and error. Ford revolutionized production, cutting costs, and making cars accessible to millions. By 1913, Ford's assembly line had reduced the time it took to build a car from over 12 hours to just 90 minutes. The role of failure in Ford's mastery. Henry Ford's story exemplifies the importance of apprenticing through failure. Greene highlights that failure isn't a sign of defeat, it's a critical part of the learning process. Ford's early struggles forced him to think critically about his goals, refine his strategies, and innovate in ways that others couldn't. His failures taught him several invaluable lessons: adaptability when one approach didn't work. Ford pivoted and tried something new. He learned to see failure as feedback, not an endpoint. Focus on the bigger picture. Ford realized that serving a broader audience, the everyday person, was the key to long-term success. Innovation through iteration. Every setback was an opportunity to improve his methods, from simplifying car design to revolutionizing manufacturing. Key takeaway: failure isn't the end, it's a step in your apprenticeship. Those who embrace failure gain insights that others fear to face. Ford's resilience allowed him to turn each setback into a stepping stone, ultimately leading to one of the greatest industrial revolutions in history. Modern applications of apprenticeship. What if the most powerful investment you could make isn't in stocks or real estate, but in your ability to master a skill? The modern apprenticeship isn't about following tradition. It's about immersing yourself in the learning process, embracing challenges, and daring to grow. The changing face of apprenticeships in today's world. In the past, apprenticeships were structured programs where a mentor directly taught a student their craft. Today, while formal apprenticeships still exist, the concept has expanded. A modern apprenticeship can take the form of shadowing a professional, enrolling in online courses, working through difficult projects, or even teaching yourself through deliberate practice. The essence of the apprenticeship hasn't changed. It's still about absorbing knowledge, refining your skills, and building a strong foundation for mastery. What's different is that today, the opportunities to create your own path are limitless. The key is adopting the mindset of an apprentice in any learning environment. Actionable tips for modern apprenticeships: value learning over money in the early stages of your career or personal growth. Prioritize opportunities that teach you valuable skills, even if the financial reward isn't immediate. Take the example of someone like Elon Musk, who worked tirelessly on coding and product design before achieving financial success. The willingness to focus on skill building rather than short-term profits often sets masters apart. Practical application. If you're in the early stages of your career, look for roles that expose you to learning opportunities, even if they don't pay as much. Take on side projects or volunteer work in areas where you can develop critical skills. Trust the process. Progress in an apprenticeship often feels slow, and that's by design. The road to mastery requires time, patience, and repeated effort. A powerful example is Cesar Rodriguez, one of the most skilled fighter pilots in history. Rodriguez's success wasn't a result of raw talent alone. It was his commitment to rigorous training, relentless practice, and the willingness to improve gradually that made him exceptional. Practical applications: stay committed even when progress feels slow. Track small wins to remind yourself that growth is happening. Seek out feedback and use it to refine your approach. Growth comes from iterative improvement, not instant results. Move toward resistance. Growth happens when you step out of your comfort zone and face challenges head-on. Whether you're learning a new instrument, starting a business, or mastering a new software, resistance is where the magic happens. The struggle isn't a sign you're failing, it's evidence that you're growing. Practical application: identify areas where you feel challenged and intentionally spend more time working on them. For example, if public speaking terrifies you, take small steps to practice it. Reframe failure as feedback. Each obstacle is an opportunity to learn. Key quote: "The road to mastery is paved with resistance, but the rewards are unparalleled." Why modern apprenticeship matters in a changing world. The concept of apprenticeship is more relevant than ever in today's fast-paced, competitive world. Technology is evolving rapidly, industries are transforming, and the skills you learn today may become obsolete tomorrow. Adopting the mindset of a modern apprentice ensures that you remain adaptable, curious, and prepared to face new challenges. Conclusion: embracing the path to mastery. Closing thought: what separates those who achieve mastery from those who merely dabble? It isn't luck, shortcuts, or raw talent. It's the willingness to embrace the ideal apprenticeship, a transformative journey that teaches commitment, resilience, and the ability to adapt. From Charles Darwin's patient observations, where years of deep curiosity laid the groundwork for a scientific revolution, to Zora Neale Hurston's bold curiosity, which turned adversity into opportunity and reshaped cultural storytelling, to Henry Ford's resilience, where failures weren't dead ends, but valuable lessons. These stories remind us that the apprenticeship phase is a universal path to greatness. The masters we admire weren't born exceptional. They became exceptional by submitting to reality, learning through challenges, and growing stronger with each experience. Their journeys prove that the apprenticeship phase is not only necessary, but profoundly rewarding. A blueprint for success in any field, the lessons from history are clear. Mastery isn't about immediate results, it's about embracing the process. By following Robert Greene's framework for the apprenticeship phase, anyone can develop the skills and mindset needed to excel. Let's recap the 3 critical modes of the apprenticeship observation. Passive mode: learn the rules by absorbing knowledge without judgment. As Darwin's journey showed us, the ability to observe without rushing to conclusions creates a deep understanding that fuels innovation. Skills acquisition: practice mode. Embrace the tedium of repetition to hardwire skills. Like Zora Neale Hurston, who immersed herself in different cultures and fields, this phase builds the foundation for creativity and independence. Experimentation, active mode. Take calculated risks to assert your voice and refine your craft. Henry Ford's willingness to experiment, even after repeated failures, led to revolutionary innovations that changed the world. Mastery is a journey, and the apprenticeship phase ensures that each step brings you closer to unlocking your full potential. Why the ideal apprenticeship matters today in today's world, where instant gratification often overshadows patience. The apprenticeship phase feels more relevant than ever. Mastery requires dedication and perseverance, qualities that set you apart in a society that constantly seeks shortcuts. For creatives, whether you're an artist, writer, or musician, the ability to immerse yourself in your craft without seeking immediate success will give you an edge over those who rush the process. For entrepreneurs like Henry Ford, your ability to learn from failures and refine your skills will shape the future of your business. For leaders, embracing the apprentice mindset will help you adapt, innovate, and guide your team through challenges. The apprenticeship phase isn't just a step toward mastery, it's a mindset that allows you to thrive in any environment. Now, it's your turn. What stage of the apprenticeship phase are you in? Are you observing, practicing, or experimenting? Share your journey in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're working toward mastery. If you're ready to embrace your apprenticeship phase and start your journey toward greatness, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Historic Power Plays. Together, we'll uncover history's greatest lessons and apply them to today's challenges. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Let's unlock the blueprint for mastery, one story at a time.